Those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. This is Success with Srini.
I'm frustrated with the problems I'm dealing with. I want a change and I want to make the change overnight. Can you help? This is the question that I have gotten over and over and over again across all my radio shows, seminars, workshops, and now this podcast. Now, this is not the exact phrase, but you get the idea. Every time a caller calls in and they're describing a problem to me, the underlying ask is, I'm frustrated, I want to change, and I want to change now. And for me, and also for people like me, who are in the profession of helping people overcome life challenges and problems, it's hard. It's hard to answer this question because there are so many different ways this can be answered. There has to be a lot of discovery that has to happen before this could be answered. But again, this is happening on air. In just moments, you just have like a minute or 2 or 3 to answer a question like this. It's challenging. Now, for me, over the years, I have gone back and I have asked a question to myself, which is, when somebody is asking me, how can I change my life overnight? Is there a way to change somebody's life overnight? It's a question that I had been asking myself and to many other places and to many other people. Interestingly, there is an answer to this. Now, when you look at the space, the self-improvement space, there are so many different frames and angles and approaches that you could take. You could zone in on somebody's values and somebody's beliefs and somebody's persistence and their commitment and their determination and their knowledge and their wisdom. It's so many different angles you can take to change their life. You can tell somebody, oh, go read and read for next 5 years, your life is going to change. You can tell somebody, listen, go exercise, work out, your life is going to change. All of that works. But the question is there something? Because nobody has 5 years time to change and they need an instantaneous outcome. So the response has to be in line with their expectation. So the answer I found is the way I was raised. Growing up, I was raised in the Vedic philosophy, and one of the early lessons in Vedas, when I say Vedic philosophy, I mean the Hindu philosophy, the Sanatana Dharma. Within that space, there was, growing up, I read this, said, life is neutral. It doesn't understand positive, negative. And if there is construction, there is destruction. And construction, destruction are in sync. They happen in loop. So one follows the other. And everything that you see is one day is going to go away. And your life is temporary here. These are some of the philosophies. And in all these philosophies, the answer is, there is one thing that stands out, which is, life is neutral. Life happens to you the way you happen to it. It's neither negative nor positive. So you have a positive frame, then life is positive. You have a negative frame, life is negative. So whatever way you carry yourself into life is what life gives you back. Then I study multiple different schools of thought. Multiple schools of thought. I study not completely, but as much as I could, and I continue to do that even today. Some elements of Islam, some elements of Christianity, some elements of Buddhism, some elements of Taoism. As I start trying to draw parallels, I see the same, more or less the same definition. This gets us to some other work that has happened in the Western world, and specifically Harvard psychologist William James. He said, the greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes of mind. Amazing. If you want to alter your life, then all you have to do is alter the attitudes in your mind and life will change. And it goes back to my earlier point, which is life is neutral. It only happens to us the way we happen to it. So, what it means is we can control the attitudes of people that we are getting. We can control the actions of people that are coming towards us by simply controlling our actions and our attitudes. So in a way, if you see this, our attitudes are nothing but mirrors. They are mirroring. Everything that we see in others is us happening to them. It's funny. It's such a simple concept, but then very hard to digest. So you stand in front of a mirror and you shout and yell. The mirror yells and shouts back at you. So our attitudes, whatever we see in others, is nothing but our own reflection. That's us in them. So if I have to shift the script or flip the script, then if I get excited, then I see excitement in people. If I get happy, then I see people getting happier. If I become joyful, I see people joyful. So there are things that we need to do for that to happen in people. Now, before I go and specifically talk about what all that we need to do to kind of get into that state within which we get everything that we are expecting in others, or whatever we're expecting from others, we get from others. John Maxwell amazingly said this. He said, an attitude is the speaker of the present and is the prophet of the future. So if I have to tell you right now, and I already said that 10 minutes into this podcast, which is if you want to change your life, anything, and specifically this question, I want to change my life overnight, that I keep getting all the time throughout my radio shows and this podcast. Very simple. Change your attitude. Change your attitude, and everything in your life is going to instantaneously change. You don't need to read one more book. You don't need to go alter your belief systems and values and all that. Keep all of them as is and just change the attitude and see the miracle happen. And that's the miracle. That's your 2.0. So people ask me this question too. I am 1.0. Srini, how can I become 2.0 or 3.0? This is 2.0. Change the attitude, your entire life is going to change. Now, what can be done to change this attitude? Well, there are different ways. There isn't much, again, changing attitude, not much. We carry ourselves a little differently. We speak a little differently. We become intentional a little differently. We pause and speak. We comprehend what others are saying, how they're saying. We in a way mirror others. We compliment people whenever and wherever we can. And we show some concern. We give some appreciation. We carry some love for them, and then magic happens. And there is an experiment that was done. There were, a long time ago, I read this story. There were these two ladies who were working in a community hospital, and they were getting very frustrated with everything that was happening. The patients were driving them crazy. The management was driving them crazy, and they wanted to leave. And right before they both decided to quit, and on the last day of their work, they decided to do something, a small little experiment. And they said, okay, we're going to go around and we're going to talk to, everyone, okay, and treat them with encouragement, courtesy, with appreciation, and when we pass compliments. And that's how we're going to spend the last day at work. So they start doing this. An incredible transformation happens. Patients suddenly are not miserable. Staff is smiling. The administration is interested in them. All good things happen on the last day. What it is this is the law of nature playing out. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Very simple. And that any situation that is causing you frustration today, or pain or suffering today, is nothing but is a reflection of your own attitude. That's it. So you want to change your life and you become 2.0, adopt the new attitude. And there are numerous podcasts that I have done here talking about the kind of attitudes that we need to drop and the kind of attitudes that we need to inculcate within us. Haste, waste, greed, self-centeredness, all these attitudes have to go away. And the attitudes that have to come in are things like concern, love, compassion, a constant desire to compliment and appreciate and spreading love, all that. So numerous podcasts I've done. In fact, I'm going to come back maybe in the next day or two and specifically do a podcast talking a little bit more about the kinds of attitudes that create the bigger outcomes that we are seeking. But then for now, this is it. Nothing else. Just change the attitude. Your life is going to change. And everything else can stay constant. But only this. But here is what happens. When you change your attitude, everything else changes too. So, this least expensive way to create a miracle in your life. Okay, that's all for now. Wherever you are, be safe, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Bye now.